Welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be starting up the 737-800 by pmdg. So, to start off, you want to select your route. For me, this is currently just Gardermoen to Arlanda, and for us, this tutorial is going to be an IFR high altitude. So you just select it and continue. So next you click fly. Make sure your route is set up correctly, because if you choose different runways, some of them may not be available unless you select it in the menu, due to you not being able to request different runways by the ATC currently in Microsoft Flight Sim. For this tutorial, I also recommend setting up a flight on SimBrief. For me, I'm just going to do this off screen, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so this is currently my route. So next, you just click Generate Flights. Once done, you'll see the route. Let me just take a screenshot. Okay, so this is what my route looks like currently, and this is all configured. So now we can click Ready to Fly in the simulator. Okay, so for me, I've already selected cold and dark as the default, but for everybody else, you want to go into your FMC. For me, I have to hold down the menu button since it's on cold and dark. You click on pmdg setup, you click on state load, and then cold and dark. Okay, so once you've done that, you will see a lot of switches are on and some of them are off. For this startup, we'll select everything to the off position that I'm showing currently. Once that's done, you can just click the bat switch right here, and then the emergency exit. Next is the fuel pumps. This depends on what fuel and what configuration you have. So for me, I know I have fuel in the center, so I have to do the center fuel pumps on. We have to do the ones for the wings. So for me, aft, forward, forward, aft, right here at the bottom. We're going to take on the landing lights like that. We're going to do anti-collision and wheel well. You can of course configure that depending on, for example, the lighting. Like if it's in the middle of the day, you only really need these two, but you can of course select the others. Okay, next we're going to configure everything for bleed. So for us, we are going to have the bleed on right here, and the isolation valve to off, or to norm. Okay, I'm going to just select this up and put a little bit of circuit breaker lights as well. This depends, of course, on the lighting outside. Like if it's in the middle of the night, you will basically need to have the panel lights to full. Also the circuit breaker light as well. Okay, for now we're going to do the cockpit PAs. And next, we're basically ready to start up so we can do more tests and get the plane ready. So I'm just going to select the window anti-ice, pitot heating, and then I'm going to select APU to start. Eventually, you will see the EGT rise up to approximately 7 and then drop down to approximately 2. Now, as you can see, it's going up. Then it's going to start dropping down very slowly. Eventually, once it has dropped down, you will see 2 available lights right here, meaning that you can successfully turn on the APU gens, Gen 1 and Gen 2. Sorry, 4. Okay, you select them to on. And now, as you can see, your panel lights are on. And we are basically ready. Next, we want to select the hydraulics right here to on, and both APU ones. Okay. So now that we have stable power, we want to align our IRSs. So you select these 2 times to get it up to nav. Eventually it's going to say DC to off, and then align. After, for me, 30 seconds, this is something you can change in the settings. We will see a prompt here that will say put in initial ref or whatever. Hopefully we get it soon. We can just click on this as well. And for us, it is E Echo November Golf Mike. That didn't work. Remember to put it into this one, the second one from the top. Next, we're going to put in our gate, which is 6.4 currently. This will give us some coordinates, and you click that button to copy it, and then you set the IRS position here. Okay, that means that we are ready to start our engines and configure everything else. This master caution is a good idea to have on because it will tell you what parts you haven't done yet. It comes in super helpful, so I recommend not doing anything about it. Okay, so now to the tests. For us, that includes a full test of the cockpit, since this is our first flight and everything, blah blah blah. So first we have to click this button, which shows us that the oxygen is available. Next is testing our fire and overheat. Fire. Cut off. Okay. Next is overheat detect. So overheat detected. Cut off. Good. Next is going to be the flight controls. So you can see, you can hear the overspeed and the second overspeed. Stick shaker on right is currently not working. The other one is. Sometimes it can take some time until the other stick shaker works, so just be patient. In the meantime, we'll select this to APGen. So you can see the DC amperage and the volts. Okay, so now in the meantime, we can go into our electronic flight bag. Click on the first icon right here. You click on request data from SimBrief once you have made sure that you are logged in to your SimBrief. Okay, so we have already gotten the route, which is Gardermoen to Arlanda. So what we can do in the meantime is zoom in to our FMC. Next we can click on RTE origin, which for us is Echo November Golf Mike. Put it in the origin. Then the destination, which is currently Echo Sierra Sierra Alpha. Click on flight plan request. Click on SimBrief RTE ENGM to ESSA. Click on it. See? Click set payload and set fuel and then select RTE. Eventually you'll have a load sign right here, and then you just click on it, and we will be putting in the runway and then configuring departure, arrival, and peripheral initialization along with takeoff. So you click load. Now you can see it's loading. And eventually you will see that it pops up right there. Next we type in our active runway, which for us is going to be whatever we get told. So we can go into our ATC right here. And we'll go onto clearance. So you can select it here if you want. If not, you can be lazy and just click on it right here. So first is always clearance, and for us that's 121.680. You make it the active one, and you request IFR clearance.
Gardermoen clearance delivery pmdg 738 IFR to Orlando ready to copy.
pmdg 738 is cleared to Orlando Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 19 right, climb and maintain 11,000 feet. Departure frequency is 118.55, squawk 1753.
1753. Okay. 19 right is currently the active departure runway. So we have to select that as 19 right. Select runway. Click on activate and then execute. Now we can select ground on 121.905. So same process here again. 121, then 9 down to 05 right there. Good. Okay, so next we want to configure our route. So currently we'll be taking in the departure only, because we'll know our arrival once we get there. Sorry for me stumbling over my words. So you click on departure. For us, we'll be doing a 9er right, and that gives us all the departures we can do. So currently, I think we should be doing the UXA 6D. This is the departure route. So we click on execute, and that's good. Now you will see the change active in the the electronic flight bag. You can of course modify the routes, although I would not recommend doing it yet. Okay. So of course we can click on here and delete routes, but it's our departure. So I'm not going to mess too much about it. We're going to go on to legs and we're going to verify everything. So next page, you'll see Oxat, then MASEV. So you click here, and you click then, and then that will fix the route for you. Now you'll see it doesn't say disconnect anymore. Okay, so currently this is our position, and we're going all the way to Arlanda. So everything is set up. Next, we go back to RTE. We click on perf initialization right here. Next, you click request. If you don't have the sim brief set up, you will not have this option. Eventually, it will say load down at the bottom, and you click load. Then you click execute, N1, take off. For us, since we have a fairly long runway, we can do either flaps 10 or 5. So I'm going to select flaps 5. This will give us a V1 of 136, VR of 138, and 147 on V2. TV 144.5. Okay. This is, doesn't show us the remaining feet, but we don't need to worry about that right now. So now that we have done all of that, we should select the pressurization altitude. So first, our land alt is 700, and you'll see that on the FMC. This is supposed to be 680, which means that our pressurization is not correct. Sorry, our QNH, blah blah. Does it say it here? It does not. We'll find out. We'll find out that later, though. Okay. So the next thing you can do is to make sure that everything is set up. For us, that means taking off our fuel pumps because we have run out of the center fuel. Now you can see that there are a few things that we need to do. First of all is the rest of the hydraulic pumps, yaw damper, and getting the correct electrics on. And that's it. Now you can see that our stall works, which is amazing. I'm not sure if it's on right now, but sometimes you'll see that the engine has started to spool up, which it hasn't, but that's fine. Okay, so for now we can deselect any passenger entry. For us, it has for some reason selected these stairs, which is wrong. It's supposed to use jetway, but we'll just deselect it and go on with our day. So to do that, you click on menu, FS actions, next ground services. You click on next page, basically 2 times. You select release, and we can of course select to PAX entry stairs. Sorry, jetway, if we want to. It's disconnecting right now. Good. Next, we click on to wheel chucks to removed. Turn, and it says enable cruise altitudes. So cruise flight level 390. It says that we cannot use that. So let's try 37000. Let's try if that works. That works, which is good. Target speed, let's go for 0.8. So 0.80. That works as well, and we can select it. Blah blah blah, actual wind. We don't need to worry about that right now. Sometimes after we have selected the passenger entry off, the engine will start spinning. It hasn't for me, which is weird, but if anybody knows why it only sometimes happens, please let me know. It's always great to know. Okay, so our next step in the startup is going to be actually starting up the engines. That's why it's called the startup. So the next thing to do is to make sure our parking brake is on. It should always have been after we took off the wheel checks. But next we'll go into the menu again, onto FS actions, and then onto pushback. As you can see, our chucks is set to removed. Then we can click on select tug. Then make sure that the distance to taxi line is correct. For us, that's 700 feet. Put that in, and straight out for me. You can also select other options, but we'll be doing straight out. Okay. You can of course select communications, blah blah blah, who cares? And next you click start.
Go ahead. We've been cleared for pushback and start straight back. Roger that. Ready for push straight back. Brakes off.
Now what you have got to do is to select parking brake to off. So basically you click on, for me, comma. And now it should soon start to connect the pushback tug. You already be able to see it right there. And we're pushing back. Okay. So next is to start the engines. So we click on left for our starter, and we select the second to ground. Now you can see that it's spooling up slowly, and it's going to go up to 28.7 or a little bit above. Okay, so I have now fixed the volume, and basically what I said was that we need to select it to ground and to make sure that it goes to above 28.7, and then we can select the cutoff valve to idle. Once this is selected to off, we can click the second one to GRD as well. You can see it's currently spooling up, and this should go to, I think it's 50 on the N2. Or maybe a little bit above, maybe like 55 or so. Okay, it's now to off, and we can select the gen. We can select bleed and PAX, along with the first engine to GRD. Okay, now we have to select brakes, brake pull. Now set brake set. Is that the brake set?
Taxiing, hold short runway 19 Juliet Sierra Bravo 9er Scandinavian 350 heavy.
Have a good flight.
Okay, so that is completely chaos. You can barely hear anything about it, but never mind. What they said was disconnecting pushback tug, blah blah blah. So now we can select engine 1 to start. Once that's on, we can select Gen 1 to on, and as along with the bleeds and packs and everything like that. And once that's done, we should be able to select the yaw damper to on, and we'll have off the warnings and everything off, which is good. Okay, so we select Gen 1, and then of course the hydraulics, along with the packs and bleed, yaw damper to on, APU to off, and bleed on the APU to off. Okay, now we can see we can select the watch here to Gen 1, and then we can see the Gen 1 power. Okay, now that that is done, we can go ahead with the next step, which is currently to taxi. So you have to wait until the etc is cleared up. Then we can click request taxi IFR. Okay, that may have sounded like a lot of stuff, but it's pretty basic, so I'll explain it very quickly. Okay, so basically what it said was to taxi via these taxiways onto A9, which we'll be holding short from there to 19 right. And the tower frequency is on 118.7, which means we should select it here. So 118.7. 700, roger. Sorry. Selected. And now we're on to the tower frequency. For now, we should be on ground when we're taxiing. So now that we are ready, you can do whatever you want. I'm just going to do the announcements. And then I'm going to reset my view. Put some power on the engines and start turning. Make sure your parking brake is off. Right now I'm currently doing a 360. So next we're going to be taxiing, and we want to make sure that we're using the correct taxiways. So it's pretty hard to see here, but we can try our best. So we have Golf to Delta and Golf to Yankee, which means we need to continue turning to get onto the correct Golf taxiway. You want to make sure that you're under 30 knots. So, just so that it's set. Golf 1, which is actually this one, I forgot. Thought I did it, but okay. So now we're going to be doing a 90-degree turn. In the meantime, you should probably be briefing the taxi routes, and then once you are at the takeoff holds, you just want to talk about the briefing, and then once you've done holding shorts, you will taxi onto the runway and then be ready. This is currently not my funnest taxi work, but who cares? Now we are on to hotel. And then after hotel, it was November and Alpha 9. Okay, remember to never get above 11 knots in turns, so we're going to brake a little bit. It just makes it way easier. Trust me. Again, this is not my finest work, but it doesn't matter. Okay. So now we should be on the November taxiway, which we are. Select the correct speed for taxiing. Taxiing always feels so slow, but who cares? Now we can already see you have November 6 right there, which we do not need to turn on to. There you can see Alpha 7, which means after 2 taxiways we are ready to swoop in. So there, Alpha 7. November, that is probably November 7 or something. No, it's uniform. There is a plane landing, which is probably AI, because, you know, I'm not playing with real people, which is sad. Anyway, here you have a uniform 2, and next taxiway should be Alpha 9. Now, depending on your approach, you may want to select your course and everything. If you want to, we're going to be doing that at the very end. But as you can see, we need to now taxi onto the runway, or sorry, at least to the hold short. A9. We need to turn. Okay. So one more test that we should do is the brake check and those kind of things. So braking, good. Flight controls, check. Now we're going to pull parking brake. We're going to go down to flaps 5, which is 3 notches. So 1, 2, then 3. Okay. So, in the meantime, we can select it to RTO, which should go to off, and then, as you can see, the light got to off, which is good. Next, we can tune on to tower by selecting the switch. Now that we're at tower, we can request takeoff clearance from Garden Tower.
738 ready for IFR departure, runway 19 right.
pmdg 738, hold short runway 19 right. Traffic is Airbus A20N on final.
IRL, you would read back it's, you know, but for us, we can only read it back here, so, well, Now that we are cleared, we need to go onto the runway immediately. Normally, in this case, we would be given a like a immediate takeoff or whatever. So if you were not ready when you requested to take off, you should at first never have requested the takeoff permission, and you should not go onto the runway and finish your checks. On the runway, the turn speed is whatever you like, so long that you're under 30 knots. Okay, we want to line up. I'm going to be testing the lights real quick. Okay, good. Brake. Speed brake, auto brake to RTO. Checklist completed. Now we'll be speeding up to 80% approximately as our start, just to make sure that the engines are working correctly. Once we get to 80 knots, it's good. Okay, so he said airspeed alive, which is good. Next is 80 knots. Continue, which is what you say in response. And now we're going to select max speed. You could, of course, use flex or whatever. I'm not going to do that right now. It would be way longer for a tutorial. V1 rotates. V2, positive rate to climb, gear up. Gear up, of course. I thought I heard positive rate to climb, but who cares? Okay, so now if you want to, of course, have the FD on, the flight director, but you can fly manually if you want to, although I would recommend selecting autopilot. Of course, remember to have the correct altimeter, but yeah. Altimeter 29.88. Wow, that works pretty bad. 29.88. Okay. Next we can do one flaps up. So next to 2. We want to climb to 11,000 feet before we hold that climb, and we wait for further instructions. Now that the ground effect is off, we'll be climbing a little bit slower, just to make sure that we're not going to be stalling and we can get up to the correct speed, which we haven't set, but for us it's going to be Mach 8.0, so we need to configure that later once we get up to climb. Sorry, to cruise. Now we're going to go rocket mode again. 5,000 feet per minute. Okay, next is flight level 250, so acknowledge. And you select it up to 250. Now we can do one more flaps up. Make sure that your airspeed is always above this stall speed. Okay, another flaps up. And now we have unrestricted speed because we're above 10,000 feet, so you can select whatever you want unless you're given a specific speed to hold. Again, glitching is always fun. That was a little bit too high, but that doesn't matter anyway. Of course, always remember to start the clock, which you just click right there and then we'll start it for you. Now, of course, this is not a perfect way to do it. You always want to confirm everything using checklists and whatever, but this is the way I do it when I try to rush it, you know. Of course, as I forgot, we forgot to turn on taxi lights and retracted landing lights, but it doesn't matter. So, but always remember it. We're doing a pretty good attempt at following the waypoints and everything right now, which is pretty good. And of course, we're not yet even using autopilot, which is, you know, it's okay for my attempt to not using it, but yeah. Okay, that looks good. Once we get to approach, I'll be setting up everything there. But for now, I have things to do, so be right back. Hello everyone, welcome back, and I forgot to fix the volume on the previous clips, so they are unusable. Sorry for that inconvenience, but right now we are currently just flying and going towards the correct waypoints and following along the route. I've just been told to go to flight level 370, and we are currently on Malmo Center. We're initiating our climb to ESSA. We're initiating the climb on ESSA, and once we're done the climb, we'll go over to cruise. And yeah, I know I'm currently under stall speed, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so for this, we have to say no, because we can't do that. It's way too high up for our engines to be able to do that, so we have to go into our FMC. I already know that our maximum is flight level 370, so we're going to ask for that. So, in our case, decrease by 4,000 feet.
Alamo Center pmdg 738. Request flight level 370.
Okay.
pmdg 738 climb and maintain flight level 370.
Climb and maintain flight level 370 pmdg 738.
Still having on max power and it's not performing at all. Let's go. Okay, so once we have anything that's happening, I'll be getting back to you. Okay, so once you feel comfortable, you want to get on the autopilot going. So for us, we're going to select the correct speed, which for us is Mach 0.80. You select 80 arm, you select speed, autopilot, nav.
Or 1,100 feet below your assigned altitude. Climb and maintain flight level 370.
Doesn't matter. So you can just acknowledge it if you want to.
Flight level 370 pmdg 738.
For vertical speed, we'll be increasing it to maybe 750 feet per minute. Which will keep us hopefully at Mach 0.80. So far 15 minutes out, and we have gotten almost up to cruise. As you can see, there's a far bit more which we have to go. Or maybe a third in. Okay, always make sure that the lights are configured correctly. Now we have to contact the body center on 118.55. So switch around. See, we always want to acknowledge the handoff.
pmdg 738. Goodbye.
Okay, now we're in the correct one. Okay, contact.
pmdg 738 is passing flight level 365, climbing flight level 370.
pmdg 738, Mono Center radar contact. Continue to TECVA.
TECVA, which is right
pmdg 738, contact
here, I think.
118.0.
Now we have to contact the Malmo Center again, so acknowledge handoff.
Going to 118.0 pmdg 738.
And now back. So you do contact.
Alamo Center pmdg 738, flight level 370.
pmdg 738 Malmo Center radar contact. Continue to TECVA.
Okay, now we have reached cruise. And once our turn is done, we should be able to deselect off fasten seatbelts and do a count time. Of course, since we're not expecting any bad weather, and we couldn't be able to see it anyway because the weather radars are inoperative on these aircrafts. But I know there shouldn't be any. So what we can do is to deselect off fasten seatbelts, cabin chime off, which gives them 2 blinks or 2 chimes, or just the fasten seatbelt / fasten seatbelt off sign. Okay, so now in the cruise there's not a lot of things that are happening, so you may choose to just sit back and relax. As you can see, we may be able to go up to Mach 8.1, maybe 8.2. Should be able to. Anyway, now we have to just cruise for a little bit, and it's going to be pretty boring. So be right back. Okay, so now we are beginning our descent to flight level 230. So to do that, we want to select down to 230 here. Of course, acknowledge it. And we're going to do a slow descent, maybe about 500 feet per minute. Because we have quite a bit of range. You can of course decide to do less if you want to, because we're descending pretty far. So maybe even more, like 750 perhaps. And since we're descending, we're going to do fasten seatbelts to on, cam turn on. And because of that, we can go down further, like maybe up to 1,000. Which the good thing about high descent rates is that we'll start to retard the thrust lever, and that decreases our fuel consumption. What you usually want is a idle descent speed, aka the thrust lever is down to 0. So you can do that if you want to. It would not be as comfortable, but it works better. So optimally, the thrust lever would be pretty down at the bottom without speed brakes on. It will be the most efficient for the operation. Because with speed brakes, you start to lose the speed, which is stuff that you've built up using the fuel, and that's kind of wasteful. So we try to avoid it. Okay, so I'll show you when the descent is done and how we're going to prepare for approach. Okay everyone, today we are a little bit high. We're being kept pretty high by ATC, so we may do a little hold. Okay, so to do that, we want to go back into the regular FMC and click on hold. For us, it's going to be LTEC or LTOC, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to keep it blah blah blah. And we need to zoom in so we can see here. Speed 217, hold that available +7, leg time 1 minute, blah blah blah. This should work. Click on execute, and now it should do the hold. They're supposed to deaccelerate down to 217. And now we're going to do a little circle. If you go out right there, you can see the circle right here. So we're going to circle around, then back. Normally you would announce the hold, but we don't have a method to do it, so we just do it how we want to. Next we go down to maybe 900 feet per minute or so, just to get a little bit of a descent. Okay, so once we initiate the hold, or sorry, at least go into the hold. I'm going to start recording again. Okay, so now we have got a little bit of a approach clearance. So we're going to descend and maintain 4,000 feet, keep speed not above 250, expecting RNAV Y, runway 01 left approach via Aljack, clear to Aljack. So we're going to acknowledge it.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet, keep speed not above 250 knots, expect RNAV Yankee runway 01 left approach via Aljack transition, clear to Aljack pmdg 738.
Okay. So now we are in the hold. So we need to program it. And we're going to let it go down to at least 15,000 feet before we start going further down. Okay, in the meantime, we can program the FMC ready for approach. So we're going to go down to the departure approach, go to the arrival of ESSA, click here. We're going to be doing RNAV Y, runway 01 left, so LS. Let's see, next page. Don't have that. Go back to SSA. Let's try to find it. So, next page. Let's see. Can't find it. So maybe I want just to do RNAV first here. RNAV Yankee, Aljack, transition, 01 left. Okay. Execute. I'm going to go back to hold. And then once we're done with the holds, we should stop it and then continue away our descent right there. So once we're down to 15, I'll be back with you. Okay, so we have already been cleared to 2,100 feet, which is still a little bit low. So we may go to max of, let's say, 7,000 feet, and that should be fine. Let's get some more vertical speed down, let's say 2300. That should hopefully be enough. And in that case, I think we should just be doing the last circle, and then we can continue on. Okay, I'll be back when we are ready to approach. Okay, so the ATC is clearly doing something weird, because now we are clear to 4,000 feet. Okay, strange. So once we are at 7,000 feet at LTOC, we'll be going to Aljack, which is 4,897 feet at a distance of 2 nautical miles from here. Which, if we want to, we can calculate how far we're going. So we go to Performance Tool, and we're going to go to there's no thing for holding, but basically what you do is that you take the altitude divided by nautical miles and plus 1 nautical mile per knot that you need to descend. So if we go into calculator and we do 3,000 feet, 300, we may not be able to see them, but I'm just going to acknowledge them anyway, just so we have it done. As you can see, we already have the LJAC waypoint ready. Blah blah blah. Who cares? Okay, so back to here, which we divide by, if I can find it, divide by 2 nautical miles, which gives us 136 of vertical speed, plus 1 for every single knot that we need to send, which is currently 80, plus 80, which gives us 216,363,636,364, which is supposedly how much we need to descend per minute. I'm just going to double check that right now. Okay, so now I have calculated it, and it's supposed to be a little bit higher, just like times 10. And we also need to get our speed down way fast, because we're way too high up in speed. So I'm just going to arrest the speed by taking down speed brakes, which I hoped to avoid. So right now we should be holding at 7,000 feet, and once we're there, we should be at a maximum 300 knots, and then we can have a vertical speed of approximately 1,200, and that should be fine. It would also be nice to calculate with wind and everything, but this gives us a approximate. And if we check our fuel quantity, we're starting to get a little bit low, but it should be way fine. Okay, so next we want to go to exit. So if we go back to the hold here, let's go to RTE, legs, let's get our speed brake down. Let's figure this out. So legs, SA731. We're still in the hold. SA371. I can't select it. Again, we can barely do it. Wow, that is extremely annoying. Now we're using reserve fuel. Always a great sign. If we could just clear it. Not able to, of course, good. Again, can't find a clear. There it is. A3. 7, please. Please, I need 7. Okay. This is clearly not working, so we're just going to do a little bit of this. Hopefully get it out of the hold. So we'll just be flying our approach manually from this point since it's not working at all. Let's disconnect the pilots. SMD. LNAV. It doesn't want to. Let's see what we can do here. At this point, let's just let it glide. Then we can try to fix it from here using a camera view button, because this is horrible to try to fix at this angle. So go to reset instrument, FMC. We're going to go back to hold, which let's clear it. Delete. Okay, that didn't work. Legs. Can't go to the hold. Okay. Hold. Now we need to contact approach, which is kind of awkward from here, but let's just try that. Let's go to ALJA, then C. ALJAC. Put that right there. Can't. SG. Okay. I'll check. And in the worst case, we just fly this approach manually. Again, it doesn't want to. So let's just do the waypoint after that. I guess it could work. Because we're getting desperate. Let's say 731. Again, doesn't want to. Okay. That means we'll just be doing it manually. Okay, we are going back to approach. Going back to first person. And we will turn off its pilots. We can have the auto thrust, sorry, but we will not be using the LNAV for now. Keep speed not above 220. And we need to have a little bit of a descent rate, so vertical speed, let's do 700 in heading mode. Heading select. Let's select a different heading. Okay, next we want to find the runway frequency for ILS, so I'm just going to search that up. Lambda 01 left ILS. which is 10990. We want to know the course, which we'll find later. We want to go down to 3,500 feet. We can do this manually. Down a bit more. Down to 3,500. We're a little bit high on approach, but that's fine. Here's our ILS, so 0.990, switch. We want to find the best approach brief, so we can find the course that we are supposed to fly. We are using RNAV 01 left. Which gives us safe. Okay. When inbound, we are going on 128.73, which we are inbound on the approach, so let's acknowledge it. 357,003.4. Again, it did not follow it, so we're going to have to do it manually. Since we're on reserve fuel, we can do anything we want to. Okay. Let's pull up a little bit. And just so you know, never do that, but we had to. I'm a professional, okay? I'm not, but you know, it's fine. At this point, we're going to deselect autopilot because it will not help us at all. We should now take flaps down. We should have done a go around a long time ago, but I did not monitor anything at all. Clear to land, run landing gear down. Or just butter this landing. $1,000, continue. We could engage ILS, but we are not, so for now we're just going to be flying down manually. 500, roger, continue. Let's line up a bit better and then try our best. Butter. Okay. Shites. I just dropped my keyboard. 2 in reverse. Reverses off. Now we're turning the next taxiway. Of course, we should already have had landing lights on and done a proper briefing, but we did not have any time to. Okay, so we go to contact ground. That was wrong. Request taxi to gates.
pmdg 738 request taxi to the gate.
Foxtrot 39 Romeo. What? Okay, we're going to find out which one that is. It is gate F39er, and we're using the right one. Okay. I thought we did. Taxi speed again. And of course, edge brake 2 off. Spoilers 2 up. My rudders keep glitching, but that's fine. Okay. So I think it is going to be one of those gates. We're going to have to find out though, because they didn't give us any taxi instructions other than just taxi to that gate. I don't know where it is at all. Annoying. But let's just check properly. Let's go into this taxiway. Let's find the gates. That's 7. Okay, so it's clearly not those. That is gate 6. I think we're pretty far out when we get to the gate. So don't mind that car getting absolutely sucked into our engine. Okay, I'm just going to search this up real quick. F39 right. Orlando. Okay, Terminal 5, gate. Okay. I think I found something. Maybe I didn't. We were on F37, which means we need to maybe go on the back side. Let's zoom in a little bit. I have some charts that I found. F37, which is located along which one? I think it's here. Let's check. Ooh, a new gate. That's interesting. Looks like our land is expanding, which is cool. Okay, here we have to have a look. F44. We are not on the new terminal, we're on the old one. So, F38, F36 right. F36 left. Six, 3, 2, 4, 4, 3, 4. Okay, I know what to do. This. Oh shit. That did not help us. Okay, that was almost a tail strike. Good to know. This airport is extremely confusing. It is supposed to be shit on the front. Okay. More reverse thrust. Okay. This is again not recommended, but who cares? Again, almost a tail strike. The passengers in the back would hate me. Again, I came into this thinking, you know what, let's try to do this well. Sometimes it does not end like that. Okay, here we go. Let's look for 37. We have F39 right, which means that that should be F37 right. Hopefully. Here we have F37 on the gates. Always a good sign. Oh. Okay. Now we are lining up. Very poorly. We may be using some reverse thrust this time again, which I didn't want to, but let's go. Okay. Come on, come on, come on. Nope. F2. Oh yeah, that's... You know what? Who cares? Who cares? Why did... What? What? Request jetway connection. Let's see. There you go. That's good. Parking brake on. Engine 1 2 off. Fuel pumps off. Landing lights off. Taxiway lights off. Anti-collision, anti-air blah 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 off. Wheel well off. Leads off. We also forgot the APU, but who cares? And we also forgot to set the engines into continuous. But at this point, it does not matter. TC to off. Emergency to off. Off and off here as well. Window anti-ice off. Bitot off. Hydraulics off. Backs off. Arrest off. Landing lights off. And that's it. Bye bye. Sorry for this very bad attempt. A new one is coming soon.